Thank you,
We
Radhika.
begin the session with Dr. Sangeeta and Mr. Abdul from Manipal. Speaking about Dr. Sangeeta, she is the Deputy Registrar of Admission Eligibility, Regulatory Affairs and Examinations of the University, alongside being an Associate Professor, Senior Scale in the School of Business at Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Dubai. Her domain expertise is in human resource management, employment law, and legal aspects of business. She has spent 22 years in academics, with 5 years in India and 17 years in UAE. She is certified psychometric tester from the British Psychological Society that gives her an edge in enabling students to understand and channelize their inclinations towards career anchoring. She has been able to establish connect with the government regulators in UAE and her association with the Ministry of Human Resources and Emiratization in the UAE as Emiratization Award Assessor is an endorsement of the same. She is a strong believer of the tech-enabled education and is the academic head of the Student Life Cycle Management, ERP, that interweaves all student experiences on campus seamlessly. She has won the Excellence Award for Successful Implementation of Learning Management System at Mahe Dubai. Sangeeta ji, it's a big honor to have you with us today. And speaking about Mr. Abdul Razak, he is the head of detail-oriented career services and corporate relations professional with strong background of recruitment, well-versed in a variety of education settings with a diverse skill set, which includes corporate relations, job and internship placements, student professional development training, resume writing, mock interviews, career fair planning, and alumni relations. Currently, he is heading the Career Services Department at Manipal Dubai campus and has worked with organizations like BITS Pilani Dubai, Bayat, Dell, and GE. A warm welcome, Mr. Abdul and Dr. Sangeeta. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Radhika. Am I audible? Okay. So good evening, the parents and the potential students on the virtual forum. And thank you, Science India Forum, for giving Mahe Dubai a wonderful opportunity to enable students to understand the ecosystem in Dubai and the educational opportunities we present to the student community. So starting off with Mahe Dubai, right now located in International Academic City. We had a humble beginning in 1953 by our founder, Dr. T.M.A. Pai, and we are very well positioned all over the world with competitive campuses and versatile programs that we offer to the student community. Quality service delivery and state-of-art education is our forte, and we take pride in the same. Our campus, which is located in Mahe Dubai Academic City, as I said, is an institute of eminence by the Government of India and a 5-star KHTA rated university. It's one of the best private universities in India according to the QS World Ranking. We can take pride in around 2,000 students with us with 40 nationalities and 6,500 alumni. These are some of the government authentications that we have. As I said, we are an institute of eminence from the Ministry of Education, India, and University Grants Commission. The KHTA has rated us with a 5-star, which is into quality assurance. And in a while, I'll talk about the dimensions about it. WES actually authorizes with international equivalency. And when I talk about the 5-star rating with KHTA, 5-star rating is basically for those universities which do really well with employability, teaching, art and culture, happiness and well-being of students and faculty, state-of-art facilities, and program strength. You must have definitely heard about Forbes list, and we are very proud to say that we have won the Forbes Award for Outstanding Support for Students, which is in itself an authentication that we are student-centric, we are learner-centric, We ensure that the skill and upscaling of the skills of the students is the forte, and employability and higher education is something our students can definitely gain through a degree program with our university. This is our campus. That's a night view you can see. We have a hostel facility, in-house sports facility, versatile library, sports, be it football, cricket, and for both girls and boys. We have unique labs, incubation centers and simulation centers, state-of-art media studios, engineering labs. We have 34 engineering labs, including a very state-of-art robotics lab. Now, the greatest strength of Mahe Dubai is our 50-odd programs spread across engineering, business, media communication, design and architecture, life sciences, arts and humanities. And this is why we are known popularly for a university which has 360-degree versatility. When we talk about engineering, we have even state-of-art robotics, artificial intelligence, and data science. When we talk about business, we have BCom with ACCA and professional certifications and BBA, MBAs, media and communication with animation, film studies and media, design and architecture with architecture, design, interior design, life sciences with biotechnology, food and nutrition, arts and humanities, which we say the humanities and social sciences with psychology. And the new addition is the fashion management and psychology, which is state of art. It is sought after in the industry as well. And I encourage all of you to come to our campus and hear it from our faculty and subject matter experts. We have on-campus open houses on Fridays and virtual open houses that run online. Look onto our social medias for registering on the same. We know that a little bit of scholarships from our side will do a great motivation to our students. So be it academic scholarships or sports scholarships or extended academic scholarships based on your consistency in performance, a girl child scholarship in alliance with the Indian consulate, Indian embassy, an Al-Daim scholarship, which Al-Daim means giving in Arabic, for financially distressed due to COVID. Due to COVID, we had a lot of financial distress patterns and we were able to extend our help, and alumni scholarships. We've got 6,500 alumni who've been a great support to our current graduates and students. Now look at this. This is something which upscales your skill and employability. And what is this? These are professional associations of bodies and industry partners who have tied up with our degree programs and master's programs, which ensures that professional certifications run hand in hand with your degree program. So is it just pure academics? No, it's also professional certifications, state-of-art skills that you require for employability and international acceptance. And we have all these brands as a part of that in alliance and in understanding with us. To sum up, we also understand that 360-degree development is very, very important in academics. And you can see that we have TED Talks, we have sports, we have annual events by various schools like Technovanza, media, walkathons for CSR activities, we say customer society responsibilities. Also student-centric activities like culturals, co-curricular, engineering students building projects of where they make their own cars that are solar run, electric run, and so on and so forth. And we also understand that student hubs, wellness clubs, student affairs is very important. All that you see listed there are part of public speaking, photography, dancing, singing, music bands, etc. You name it and we have it, because we believe truly in Mahe Dubai that academics in alignment with extracurricular and co-curricular is what truly makes you a graduate with critical attributes. And that's why we position ourselves as the university of future. Off to you, Abdul, for career services. If I may request the organizers to kindly unmute Abdul, please.
Thank you, Dr. Sangeeta. Thanks for that wonderful presentation. Uh, Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the Science India Forum for giving us an opportunity to interact with students as well as parents. It's our honor to be part of this event. So in my brief presentation, I'm going to briefly talk about, more about what is the post-pandemic situation when it comes to career in UAE or globally, for that matter, and also talk about what are the kind of skills industries are looking out for and what students need to do in order to ensure that they're ready for employers of the future. So to begin with, I'll give you a brief about what's happening post pandemic. So it's not all gloom and doom. Of course, there are companies, in last 2-3 months there have been a lot of companies who've laid off, but the thing right now is within the industry there are a lot of new jobs that have emerged. There are new career opportunities that are emerging, and fastly, economy is heading towards recovery. So of course, from people, HR people have already learned from their mistakes. So now they have made selection processes for any job role a bit tougher. So it's very important for you to have the right kind of skill set, the right kind of business acumen in order to make it to a job or to a career. So I think in the current situation, of course, the selection processes have become more tougher. Of course, HR, and organizations and the, HR community is taking a little bit of time in order to understand that, they're picking the right candidate who's a good fit for the organization. So, there is been a delay when it comes to selection. Next up is, like I've just mentioned, there are certain industries which have emerged and there are a lot of jobs that are being created. For example, the healthcare industry has, gone into a hiring spree right now. IT, for that matter, these are some of the industries which are hiring for amazing roles at this point of time, at a greater salary, good career prospects, etc. So I'm going to talk about that in detail in my next slides. Smart organizations have started maintaining a talent pipeline. You won't believe there are certain multinational companies who've started, hunting for talent right from schools. Earlier, it used to be universities. Now they're heading to schools to make sure that they're picking the right kind of talent and then grooming them over a period of time. So there are a lot of internship opportunities, virtual internship opportunities available for high school students, which is available, just to name few companies. Dubizzle is hiring, a lot of fresh graduates, a lot of fresh out of school students for summer internships and for project-based internships. So there are a lot of opportunities that you should look out for. Another thing is entrepreneurship. So this has become the key job driver in the market right now. There are a lot of startups that are coming in. Universities like Manipal has an incubation center in which in last 2 years, we've supported almost 4 startups. So we have financially helped them to set up their own organizations, as well as now they've become job creators. They're no more job seekers, they're job creators, and they are creating internship opportunities for our students. So if you might have heard about Dubai Next, which was introduced by Sheikh Hamdan, it is to empower startups in Dubai. So as a startup, you can raise funds, you can do crowdfunding on that platform, and make sure that your startup or your company is successful. So there are a lot of opportunities available for entrepreneurs. So it's not all gloom and doom. There are a lot of great things that are happening post COVID, and it's just that how industries looking at hiring candidates have changed. So what are the industries, what are the jobs that are available in the market right now which are very much in demand? So people might have talked about things like industry 2.0. What is that industry 2.0? So let's start from engineering. So in engineering, there are high demand for, of course, there is demand for conventional engineering streams, which is your mechanical, electrical, computer science, etc. But there are certain domains which have become very popular. So robotics is one of the domain that is very popular at this point of time, whether it's manufacturing industry, whether it's technology industry. They need people with knowledge of robotics, artificial intelligence, RPA, which is again robotic process automation, which is used in organization, IoT, Internet of Things. So these are some of the domains which are very popular in engineering segment. Technology, of course, there's a demand for app developers, and an average salary for an app developer over here is starting from 12,000, even if you are a fresh graduate. So our students from Manipal, engineering students go for a last semester internship in companies like Dubizzle, Bayouth, the technology companies in Dubai. And after the internship, they get absorbed in these roles at a very higher salary of around 12 to 12.5 as a fresher. So there are a lot of opportunities in app development. So if you're good with coding, kudos. This is something, you would be looking out for, this area. There are a lot of jobs available for another 10, 15 years at least. Next is data science, cybersecurity, cloud infrastructure. These are the popular domains in technology sector. Healthcare, like I told you, because of the current situation, there's been boom in terms of hiring of healthcare professionals. So we have our Department of Life Sciences, wherein we have students from biotechnology, health and nutrition, who are highly in demand right now. So earlier, few years back, jobs were very limited over here, but we have seen an immediate, instant boom in a lot of jobs in this healthcare sector. Same with humanities and social sciences. So there is high demand for psychologists, HR professional with psychology background. In finance, it's more of analysts, tax specialists, which are in demand. Logistics, of course, because it's a trading hub. UAE is a trading hub. There's always a demand of logistics, so it remains the same. In media and marketing, there are many jobs for social media and digital marketing, and they're looking at even fresh talent, fresh out of college, fresh out of schools in these areas. So most of our media and communication students get opportunities into social media, digital marketing, etc. Graphic designing, content creation is again another very popular role over here. In architecture, it's more about sustainability development, green building, urban planning, urban development are the roles which will be available. So these are some of the domains which will be popular for next 10 years, for example. So by the time you graduate, you complete your education, you still see that these are the job roles which will be available in the market. So what are my tips and career advice for students, who have decided already what they want to do and who are not sure what they want to do? So first thing, for people who have already decided what they want to do, there's an amazing tool available online called careerplanner.com. It gives you an insight about each and every job which is available on this planet Earth, for example. So, if you want to know about data scientists, what exactly do they do? What are the skill set they require? What are the soft skills you require for any particular job? It's available over there. So the first exercise that we do, even as part of career services at Manipal, is making sure that students read job descriptions. So if they are interested in any particular role, I suggest them to look at job description of various companies. So if you want to become, let's say, a data scientist or a cybersecurity professional, read the job description of companies that are advertising these roles. So Career Planner gives you an insight about what are the generic skill set you require in order to do a particular job. Another one is prospect.ac.uk, career advice. It's an amazing tool. Again, this is more domain specific. So if you are, let's say, for example, an engineer, what are the various mechanical engineer, what are the various career prospects available for you? So it gives you a breakdown of all different roles, all different industries which demand mechanical engineer. So these two tools are very, very useful. So I would highly recommend for people who've already decided what role they want to get into. For people who are not sure what they want to do, of course, it's not too late. You can still identify your, personality traits, your, your key offerings, or or your key skill set by taking up tests such as 16personality.com or Princeton review. So these are some of the personality quiz which gives you an idea about what kind of personality traits do you have, and these traits fit into which industry. So it's a good it gives you good sense of direction, which areas you should look at. So these are a couple of tools that I would highly recommend. And on top of it, like I told you, there are a lot of companies who are currently offering internship, volunteership, and part-time opportunities for fresh, even high school students. So look for those internships. There are websites on which you have virtual internships available. So from the comfort of the home, you can learn skill sets. So at Manipal, we have a tool called Forage on which our students during the pandemic as well were doing online internship with world-renowned companies. So with Standard Chartered Bank, with Citibank, etc. They had the opportunity to do virtual internships, and they have learned and got certifications from those companies, which is obviously a very good value add. So there are a lot of these tools available online. I would highly recommend you to explore these tools which are available. Next is talk to people about career. Find somebody like, find a mentor within your family, your father, your uncle, whoever, your mom, who's available to guide you. Find a mentor from the industry, specifically from the industry of your interest. It's easy nowadays with LinkedIn. It's become easy for you to identify somebody and approach them for career tips and more industry insights. And never stop learning. So there are so many tools available nowadays during pandemic. Even in your summer holidays, you can take up a lot of courses online, and obviously aim at acquiring soft skills through internship, through volunteering. Try to gain certain soft skills. So there was a survey done by McKinsey recently in which they've asked what are the top 4 skills post pandemic that students need to have. So the first soft skill that all the companies, including Microsoft, Google, have said is agility and flexibility, because in the current scenario, you need to have that ability to sense that unpredictability and act quickly to it. So that is a skill that is required post pandemic. Growth mindset and resilience is another skill set that you need to have in order to grow in post pandemic world. So your desire to continuously learn, your ability to recover and bounce back is something which employers are always looking out for. And of course, a team player is something everyone wants to hang around with. So desire to work with other people with different background, ethnicity, etc., is something a modern organization is always looking out for. And the fourth skill is somebody who wants to learn throughout. So these are some of the key soft skills that companies are looking out for. So I have prepared a small document. So through the help of our marketing team, we have created a document in which there are a lot of free resources available. So even during your summer holidays, you could explore these opportunities. There are some recreational resources available. But the best thing that you could see over here is there are 400, I think about 400 or 450 Ivy League colleges which are offering free courses to students in various fields. So I'm talking about top universities like MITs, etc., which are offering free courses. So you have links available over here wherein you can pursue those courses and get benefit out of it. Now, just to sum up, just wanted to give a brief about what we do as Career Services Department at Mahe Dubai. So our vision is basically to empower students with right kind of opportunities so that they can build their career of choice. So we train them on basically on building CVs, creating their profiles, get ready for job interviews, connect with alumni, connect with industry people. So these are some of the tools, some of the services that we provide in order to ensure that our students become employable and go out and do good in the industry. Moving on. These are some of the events that we do on a regular basis. So there are company presentations wherein CEOs, HROs of the companies come into the campus and talk to students about how to build their profile, what to expect in industries, etc. We do career fairs in which we annually we have about 50 to 60 companies which come on campus who interact with graduating students for internships, jobs, etc. This time we were the first Indian university, to do a virtual career fair. So there were companies and students who connected on an online platform, and there were a lot of jobs and internships which happened through this career fair itself. Moving on. Yeah, some of our key employers that has been hiring on and off through Manipal. Like I've mentioned, DoVisl is one of our key recruiter, which has been taking a lot of students for data science, HR, and a lot of other roles. IKEA has recruited many students from interior design, architectures, etc. And there are many other multinational companies that are on and off hiring from Manipal. Yeah, I think that's about it from my end. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And now we are open for questions. If you have any questions pertaining to careers, pertaining to the university, me and Dr. Sangeeta are available to answer your question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Abdul and Dr. Sangeeta. Yes, there are ample questions over here. Most of them you have answered through your presentation. Thank you very much for being so elaborate and informative to our students. One of the questions that needs to be addressed is, what course pertaining to AI is offered at Manipal?
Okay, I'll take it. So we have BTech in computer science engineering with minors in robotics and artificial intelligence. We've got a robotics lab as well. And we've got Schneider, if you've heard about Schneider and MNC, is our industry partner as well. We also have tie-up with Nissan. So what happens is, Abdul mentioned about incubation centers and simulation centers. These industry partners come in there and actually give students hands-on training. So that is exactly the direct program that is suitable for a graduate.
And also, ma'am, which course of yours has the maximum number of placements? These are questions that are very, very often asked by our students. So that makes them help to take a career choice properly.
Yes, just like Mr. Abdul said, in BTech area, we have a lot of, employability in the area of computer science engineering and mechanical engineering. There's a lot of mechanical engineers getting into aviation maintenance, okay? And of course, computer science engineers. Then, of course, we have a lot of interior design employability coming up. Then, of course, BCom with ACCA combination is just all over the place. BBA with a finance and logistics specialization has a great employability. In media, we see a lot of media students with print and event management backgrounds getting into a lot of job opportunities. In life sciences, we find a lot of our biotechnology, food and nutrition science students getting into pathology, job positions in dairy. There are a lot of dairy product companies here like Al Rawabi and Almarai, etc. They get into those pathologist jobs. Humanities and social sciences, I must say, there's a lot of requirement for psychologists, counseling, coaches, and sociologists. And this is why primarily we've started 2 new programs, Bachelor of Science in Applied Psychology and Master of Science in Applied Psychology. And not to leave behind the course related to interior designs and architecture. BARC is one of our flagship programs. It's a 5-year program and a lot of sustainable architecture happening across UAE, and there's a lot of demand in that area as well. So I would say to the graduates, you must follow what you are best at. Just don't follow only what is the market trend. And to understand what you're best at, I completely endorse with Abdul. You try taking those tests, but that's just not enough. I like the idea. He said that talk to people, and I want you to come and talk to us in Mahe Dubai. I'm not telling you to come and take admission here. Don't think this is some kind of a sales talk. I'm an academician, I'm a deputy registrar, and I know there are a lot of parents and children who just want the right course. Come to us and speak to us. We'll help you at least find your pathway and your right program.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you have said, there are many students who are asking what are apt courses for commerce students. You have already answered that. So I go on for the next question. Can I get a transfer to Manipal India campus in the middle of the course?
Yes. So one of the things that we kind of guarantee our parents is that in terms of any contingency that happens, you can get a transfer to Manipal Mangalore. That is our main campus, as well as to Manipal Jaipur. We have 2 campuses in India, and you can get the transfer.
That's very nice. Thank you, Dr. Sangeeta and Mr. Abdul. That has been very elaborate, and we really thank you for taking out time to inform our students.
Thank you so much. And that's the slide there. I told you, come and talk to us. So you must be thinking like, where do we come and talk to you? Come to our campus. We are there, faculties and all admin staff, admission counselors. If you can't come to our campus, you see all those social media links and addresses there. Log on to that, look for the virtual open houses or talk to the chatbot and we'll get across you. So I would encourage all of you to come and speak to us for better clarity and pathway, and as well as the parents, because I'm sure you're very anxious. And I give you advance congratulations for your results that you're anticipating. But much before that, come to us and speak to us or connect with us on social media. And thank you, Science India Forum, for this wonderful opportunity to ensure that our student community gets more information about quality education that's available in Dubai. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to our next speaker for the evening. Just before that, a small request to the students, two important information. The first one saying that there's in the chat box, you can see, post your questions here. It would be better if you would put it in the specific chat box so that we are able to address it clearly. Secondly, at the end of the session, there is a special question and prizes await for you. So do wait for that. Okay. Moving on to our next speaker, Mr. Subramanyan Krishnamurti. Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening.
Mr. Subramanyan Krishnamurti is the CEO of Macadamia, a well-known institute in UAE. He is a visionary educationist steering in UAE's oldest and most popular test prep institute. He specializes in the training program for gifted and talented students. His expertise in international academic competitions and Olympiads speak a lot about it. Enthusiast of experimental learning and educationist through travel. He advises on early stage investor in startups in the field of edutech, adtech, AI, and blockchain. Wow, some of the very much well-known career prospects are here. So students, please pay attention to him so that you will benefit. Welcome, Mr. Krishnamurti. I think he needs to be unmuted. Just a second, sir.
Thank you. Right, I just went through the first session and kind of takes me back to my younger days. Thank you very much, Manipal, for doing a wonderful session. It saved a few slides of mine. So what I've done while I was listening, I've changed my presentation to another presentation because I didn't want to do an overlap with what has already been discussed. Let's start here with this. I have about 20 minutes, and so I'll start this discussion on a slightly different note, because I think what the world has gone through in the last 1.5 years is the unprecedented changes. The Harvard came up with a term called as VUCA a decade ago, and they said the next 20 years are going to be a VUCA world. You know, the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and general sense of rapid change is going to engulf the whole world is what they predicted. And but what happened in the last 1.5 years in the name of COVID is nothing compared to what Harvard had predicted, that what's going to happen to the world. So as students who are about to step into a graduation stage right now, a young generation who are going to take us forward or the whole earth forward, this is a very critical change that all of us are going through. You know, the post-COVID, what kind of a world are we going to get into? I think most of us are delivering this session sitting from home. And one major trend which the data scientists are pointedly referring to is the post-COVID world in about 5 to 10 years from now is going to be a world of micro entrepreneurs, or there's a new term that they've come up with called as entrepreneurs. You know, those are called as alternate entrepreneurs, which means more and more people will start developing their own business, or they will be on their own and working on areas that they are very passionate about. For example, if you always are interested in writing, today it's possible for you to be a writer who can write for the website. You can make brochures. You go to a website like fiverr.com where you can register yourself, and then you start doing your own business. You can start selling products on Amazon from tomorrow if you want to. So you can be a trader, you can be a writer, you can be whatever you want to be. And because of COVID, what has happened is the customer mindset has changed, which means anybody and everybody is okay to take services from anywhere in the entire globe. So that's a very interesting proposition to be in. I might say something slightly controversial, but again, I'm just saying what I often read in the field of education. So the general notion now in education is that we are going to transition from a degree-centric society into a skill-centric society as we go forward from here. What is going to be more and more valued is going to be the skills that you acquire, and not so much the degree that you're going to that's going to play the role, whether it is the IIMs or the MITs or the Harvards. And to support this view, it will be very interesting for you. I don't know, as youngsters, you would be noticing that Google has now gotten into education. IBM has gotten into education. Pricewater PwC has gotten into education. You think of any major organization in the world, all of them are practically getting into education, so much so that IBM is probably leading the beacon when it comes to blockchain and AI programs in the entire world right now. So which kind of shows how the world is preparing the next generation of workforce as we go forward from here. That's a food for thought. I mean, mostly my sessions are one slide, and then I just talk about a little about it, and then the idea is to leave you with some stories. So it'll register some kind of a message somewhere for you at the end of the session. Next are the things that has already been covered by the previous eminent panelists. While choosing the career, please do not emulate. Mera chacha ka beta engineer hai, main engineer banunga. My best friend is going for doctor, so I'm also going to be a doctor. My father could not become a doctor, so he wanted me to become a doctor. The emulation is something that you totally avoid. The list of careers I'll be sharing this slide with you in which case. What are the different careers that you can possibly choose? What are the different models that is typically used? So the API model is something, again, they already covered in the previous one. I'm not talking much about it. A mix of your aptitude, personality, and interest basically guides you towards the right career and possible careers that you can get into, and so on. But I want to take this discussion forward because others are also going to primarily focus on career choices. One of the important mindset change that we all need is to, while growing, it's very important for us to understand, are we going to enter into our university with a job seeker mindset or a job creator mindset? Now that's an extremely important thought process that I want each one of you to get into. Growing up in India, I went to the finest engineering college in India. I went to the best management school in India. I went to IIM Ahmedabad, and I'm talking about from my own experience. For me, getting into one of those top institutions for me was a ticket to landing a good job. When I was a youngster and I was entering these top universities, appearing for entrance examinations, cracking them, studying hard, working hard, and there's just one dream that I'll land a golden job. The better college I go to, the better job I'm more likely to land. And that kind of takes me back and tells me that I used to have a job seeker mindset. As a country, we all have a lot of job seeker mindset, but is it possible for us to create a job creator mindset? If more and more people need job, somebody also has to take care of the job of creating the jobs. And is it such a difficult thing to do? No, I don't think so. As a youngster who's listening into career choices and deciding to do what you want to do, one of the things I probably request all of you to look into is to have a job creator mindset. Not only am I going to get into a good university, not only am I going to study well, not only am I going to make a positive change in the world, but I'm also going to create jobs for more and more people, which is like CEO of your own, dream company. Is it very difficult? Probably not. I just changed this whole slide because just to keep it slightly different. I'll take you through a very quick 7 pointers, as usual, single slide, single talk. The first and foremost is nothing is rocket science. Like a lot of times when you look at the startup, which has boomed so well with India having more than 21 unicorns now, People always come back and say, oh, startup is the new big thing, this thing, that. No, it's not really so big. Let me give you a classic example. I mean, typically in an Indian context, okay? This is the roadside dhaba that you normally see, right? Where when you're traveling from city A to city B, on the way you stop over for a dinner or a chai, you know. Now, Sharma Dhaba is doing fairly well, and then suddenly one guy comes to Sharma ji and says, "Yeah, you have a lot of customers coming to your restaurant. Will you allow me to put up a pan stall outside so that those who are eating dinner can eat pan from my shop, and then they can go, okay, I'll charge you some rent. Some Chinese guy will come up, some kulfi guy will come up, and all this becomes an attachment to this. Now, if I were to compare this to what you're totally familiar with, the Sharma Dhaba is an aggregator. Sharma Dhaba is the platform Amazon. Okay. And the platform Amazon allows other sellers to come and sell whatever they want to sell, and whatever they sell, the Amazon will take a percentage fee from that particular thing, and this is a very classic example of how an aggregator platform typically works. I'm trying to kind of simplify it because of the younger audience that are here. And the idea is for you to not feel overwhelmed. Nothing is rocket science, including, doing your own startup. I learned this because I was a panelist in one of the discussion about 6 months ago, where there was a fellow panelist who was a CEO of an IT company, and he was just 17 years old, and he spoke better than me, to be honest. So nothing is rocket science. That's the first lesson for us to take home. If you want to do something, if you want to do your own startup, create your own company, do not think that you have to be an engineer, or you have to be a management graduate, or you have to be a blockchain expert to be able to do it. Think of an idea, whatever skills are needed. There are umpteen number of opportunities available for you to pick up all the right skills to get wherever you want to go. So lesson number one, nothing is rocket science. Everything is, just floating around you. All the ideas that you need is just look at the problems and what should be your idea. Like a lot of times people are like, oh, but whatever I think of, somebody has already done something related to it. I wanted to do something related to finance, but somebody has done something on a fintech, this, that. In case of idea, so the general logic about idea is, I love one of the quote that I read about what is a great product. A great product is typically a product which is missed by the customer in their past. What do you mean by this? Like, for example, if like my mom and dad, they're about 70 years old, and they absolutely and thoroughly enjoy and relish the experience that all these online platforms are providing. And they are like, yaar, kash hamare zamane mein bhi ye hota. During my days also, younger days also, we used to go to market, purchase this, that, and that is what makes any product a great product. Let me give you an exactly opposite example, just for you to kind of make sense. So what you're seeing here is a company called as Mars One. Okay. And somewhere in the deserts of Utah, they do have a space center kind of a setup where they are exploring the possibility of the Mars colony. Like, if you ever decide to settle down in Mars, what kind of colony do you want to live in? What kind of houses should be made? And what they're trying to recreate the environment of Mars within these cubicles that you're seeing here. Now, this is exactly opposite of what I'm trying to recommend. Now, Mars One, is it something that we miss in our past? No, nobody ever wakes up one day and then realizes, yeah, gosh, I should have been in Mars, man. Last month, I should have gone to Mars. No, that doesn't happen, right? So a great idea is the one that is missed by the customers. How do you identify that idea? The idea typically comes as a simple consumer problem. You as a customer, you as a consumer face any problem, whatever problem you face, you just run that problem with a few others more to understand if it's a common problem. And if it is a problem for a sizable number of people, you already have the idea in your hand. It doesn't have to be a breakthrough idea, and it doesn't have to be a very novel idea, but picking up a problem which currently exists is the number one way to choose the idea. Sorry, my slides. And do not copy, because this is something that a lot of people always tend to do, that, okay, I know that this startup has now started doing very well in Canada or in USA. I'm going to make the same, Amazon became Suk.com or a Flipkart. So I'm going to make similar cart for a African continent. So what might work in one geography might not work in any other geography. I remember reading an interview of Salman Khan. Not a big fan of him, but this particular part I kind of liked it. So Salman Khan, the actor, received one of his friends from the US. And his friend was busy showing off to him like how sophisticated the home automation things are in the US. You're showing, this is my house. I can open the gate from here. I can close the gate from here. This, that, all this. He picked him up from airport, and while coming, he's showing him all the thing. Oh, let me switch off light at my home. This. And Salman Khan looks at him and says, these things, even we have it for many, many years. He said, really? I mean, in India, in Bombay, you have home automation of this level? He says, yes. And then he just, let me show this to you. He just calls home and says, Ramu Bhaiya, light laga do, AC on kar do, pani garam karke rakho, aur chai laga dena, hum log aa rahe hain 5 minute mein. And then he kept the phone down. So the home automation as a market may not really work very well where there is an abundant supply of laborers at a really affordable price. That's what the mismatch there is. The home automation, it works very, very well in a market like US, where the per hour charges for even menial jobs are significantly higher. Therefore, there is a price arbitrage which allows them to do something. So when you pick up your idea, please do not copy. And even if you do, in a case that if you think that, oh, something is available somewhere, it's not available here, you might end up picking up an idea. But please always check that whether it is working for your geography or not before you venture out further. What is the next one? The next one is the lesson number 3 is choosing the right people to work with. And when it comes to choosing the right people to work with, my favorite quote on this is always this: the first class always likes to work with first class. The second class always likes to work with third class, which means if I'm extremely competent, I would like to work with equally competent people. And if I'm slightly incompetent, I would want somebody more incompetent than me, because I don't want to be bossed around, or I don't like, I want everybody to respect me. So if you look at any particular company, even with Google, the two people that started off together, according to one of their professors, they didn't become friends right away, but both were very severely opinionated, and they both considered each other to be obnoxious, very difficult for them to stand each other, But what actually brought them together is the ability to work with more competent people. Whenever you think of a task, and if you can find somebody who can perform the task better than you, the first thing that you do is you offer him a role to work with you, rather than doing the other way around. So if I'm good at finance and if somebody is good at marketing, I would go to him and say, look, you know what, I don't want to do marketing anymore. I want you to do the marketing because you're better than me. And this is an extremely important point in growing well, to choose a co-founders or choose the founders who would form the main fulcrum of your growth as you go forward. Again, you may not like some people that you will see, you will not like their personality, but if you think they are a right fit for your organization, you should have the ability to get them on board and allow them to do what they're extremely good at. The fourth one is, this is something very interesting, called as MVP, typically minimum viable product, as it's called. I'll give you the story of Airbnb. So Airbnb, as many of you would already know, it refers to the air bed that they used to make. You remember the old time mattresses and the pillows that you can blow air into it and it becomes like a bed. So during one of the conferences in 2007 in San Francisco, they knew that most of the hotels are going to run out. And then they said, okay, let's just experiment this. What we'll do is we'll make a small website and we will fill up our entire apartment with beds. And we'll provide them with breakfast the next day. We'll just make air beds. So we don't want to invest money. So we'll just buy air beds. We'll pump in air. We'll float it out. And if people are interested, let them come and stay. Let's just check it out. And then the Airbnb, air bed and breakfast, that's what Airbnb stands for, became that all their rooms were completely sold out in their first run. But if you look at it, it's all that they did is they did not start with a huge prototype of, I'm going to at least onboard 10,000 hotels and 20,000 houses. No, it starts with a very simple idea. And then you go and build something, you code a little, you measure, you just go back to the market and see how is it working. You collect some data, you learn from it, and then, you just hit your target. So Building the MVP is a good idea. What is a prototype of this very similar in many institutions, whether you are doing a BBA or whether you're doing an engineering or whatever maybe the courses that you study? Typically, all those courses include what is called as a project. A project work that you're expected to do. Your project work is very similar to the MVP, but the project is compulsory. The people who do exceptionally well in life are the ones who build projects not for the university, not for the course, but the projects that really they are passionate about. They look at something, oh, this is a problem. I think I know a way to solve this problem. They just go ahead and build something and then put it out there for people to see, experience it, and then it just picks up from there. Why is it important that you do an MVP? Because the most critical step for any organization to grow very strongly is to having the ability to pivot. What is pivoting? Pivoting is nothing but, you start with an idea, you build something, you code something, you measure, you get a data, you learn from that data, and what you do is you go back and rebuild something. Yeah. One of the classic examples of pivots that we always talk about in our courses is YouTube. YouTube used to be, they wanted to be something like a videoshadi.com, when they started off, which is somebody wanting to get married to somebody else. A boy wants to get married to a girl, this, that. The idea was they will create a matrimonial kind of a site where anybody who wants to get married can just come and put up their small short video, but hi, my name is this, I'm doing this, and I would like to get married to somebody who's like this, blah, blah, blah. That's how it started, and they started uploading videos purely from that perspective. That's how the name also comes from YouTube. It's your chance to come on the television and say something about yourself. And they realized that people just started going crazy about their ability to upload short videos, and ability to share it with other people, so somebody can record a dance, post it, and then everybody started putting more videos than what they normally would ask them to do. So profile building is only one video. And then suddenly they noticed that everybody's putting like 8 videos, 10 videos, 12 videos, me eating, me singing, me dancing. And then they realized, oh my God, this is such a powerful medium. And then they pivoted from that into a video platform, a host of online video platform after starting off as a potential matchmaker. I used to call them a videoshadi.com, So they were like the video version of the shadi.com. And from there to what YouTube is today is a pivot. So what did they build? They built something very simple, a platform where people can come and simply upload their video and share it with their friends and family, and ideally make matches. Now, what did they do? They did learn from the data that more and more people are downloading it, more and more people are watching it, more and more people are uploading videos. After they picked up that particular data, they decided to pivot and build it into a host platform for videos, making it one of the largest companies in the world today. Is a classic example of a pivot. Only when you build an MVP, you collect data, then you go into the pivoting. Next is funding. This is again a lot of people do have some questions about it. I'm also an investor in many of the startups. So before your MVP, that is, unless you have a minimum viable product or a minimum viable, optimum running engine, it is extremely rare for you to land any kind of a professional funding. Mostly either friends and family that comes to the rescue. Yeah, that is where it becomes very, very important for you to your ability to gather competent people to work with you. Because initial stage, when you don't get funding and you're relying on your family and friends to establish your business, then what you need is more and more competent people to work with you, just believing you and nothing else. But after your MVP, minimum viable product, becomes a little bit of a success, it's very, very likely that you'll be able to land funding, and it's not very difficult. And one major change that typically happens is when you're a founder, you do everything. And then after you land funding, what happens is you need to really have a professional CEO, CTO, CFO, and CEO, running your organization's different division. But these are usually the people that stuck around with you initially. These are the friends, these are the family, these are the batchmates that led you to a successful MVP. Therefore, the funding was further landed. This is, again, this is like a bitter pill, but it's important for you to know this as well, is to embrace failure. any kind of a venture that you get into, one of the most important reason why people do not want to venture into creating jobs is because they're afraid, what if they fail? What if they're not able to create a successful company? What if they're not able to create a successful product or a service? The failure and success are like two sides of the coin. And as long as you keep flipping, you'll always end up landing on one side or the other side. So it doesn't matter, it's just like a flip of a coin. Every time you flip a coin, you might fail, but next time you try flipping it, it's just like a chance of you, landing success is as equal as, you're landing failure. I'll give you two classic examples of stories going both A to B and B to A, or win and loss. I'm sure all of you will be familiar with Bhatia. Bhatia was the gentleman who created Hotmail and sold it for $400 million to MSN, or the Bill Gates, Microsoft at that time. He worked only for 2 years on Hotmail before he sold it off to $400 million to Bill Gates. And then he started something called as Arzu.com. Now, Arzu.com was arguably the first e-commerce platform in the entire world. It was 10 years ahead of Amazon.com, but the problem was the market and the logistics was not ready to deliver the value that he wanted to deliver. Amazon is doing a terrific job, not because of the technology or the platform, but their logistic pipeline is sorted out. You order something, somebody physically has to come and deliver the product home. And the industry was not mature, and it was a big flop, and he ended up burning his finger, a lot of money in the whole process. So the first one was an unexpected success, and second one was an unexpected failure, if you think about it. And imagine the amount of effort that must have gone in, and it's a brilliant idea. One of the top 2 firms in terms of revenue in the globe today is working on exactly the same concept, and he tried it before them and it just didn't work out for him. Reverse story, win becoming a loss becoming a win. I'm sure you'll be familiar with the GoPro owner as well. The GoPro owner, started empowerall.com. That was his first venture, which really received a lot of circulation in news, going to make something big, blah, blah, blah. Then he created something called as Funbug that failed again. And then he finally managed to get something right with GoPro, $400 a camera. It has become a product segment of its own. Like people who are into sport, people who are into adventure, skiing, racing, high adrenaline sport, uses this GoPro camera pretty seriously. If you're going diving, snorkeling, GoPro camera. So he's created a different product segment even within the cameras called as GoPro. But 2 of his first 2 things did not take off well. And fairly rich guy, even to start off with. So the money was at his disposal, the people were at his disposal, but still things can go wrong. But if you keep at it, you will end up getting something or the other right. Most of the success stories that we see in most of the industries are typically the people who just refuse to give up. Like a flip of a coin, as I said, remember, you just keep flipping the coin again and again until you get the victory on your side. That's pretty much it. The 7 lessons as we wanted to discuss. I'll be sharing the slide. I just put up some resources as well, just in case if you guys want to go through from Forbes and Harvard Business Review. I'll take the last minute to probably talk about Macadamia. I'm sure some of you are probably familiar with Macadamia as an institute. We are mainly specialized in test preparation services, which is the children who are finishing their school and want to get into university, either in India or in USA or UK. We prepare you for all the entrance examination that you typically take for all the engineering and medical and any courses you can think of. So from architecture to engineering to medical to law, we prepare you for all the entrance examinations. USA, we do SAT1, SAT2, IELTS, TOEFL. For UK, we do UCAT, BMAT, PTE. We also are the official coaches for all the UAE national team for all the international academic competition that the UAE takes part in. So whenever you see a UAE team taking part in any academic competition in the world, you probably know We are the official coach for them, and we are coaching them from behind so that they can go and win medals for the country. We also run a division for Olympiads. We also run programs in type with NUS and Bentley University in USA for design thinking. And we also run AI program in type with Carnegie Mellon University for the school students. And this is pretty much a broad range of our services. If I may put it in a nutshell, I think that completes my time as well. Thank you very much for listening very patiently. I know I did a little bit of heavy dosing on you guys today, but I skipped a lot of the slides because it was very similar to what the previous eminent panelists were talking about. So decided to give it a little twist and talk about something else. Yeah, thank you very much for having me. And I don't know if I have time for questions, but yeah, thank you.
You have, Mr. Subramanyan, and thank you very much. I've heard you at Macadamia also. You still stand the same, a very good orator. Especially appreciate your thought of informing our students to embrace failure. That's one of the major learning that we need to understand. Coming to the questions part, a very good question. Most of them you have answered through your presentation, which is very elaborate. Let me say that. And then, is it better to choose a person who has a good wavelength with me or a relationship? Or should I actually choose a person only by their capabilities or competency?
Purely by capabilities and competency, I would say, because relationship can go right or wrong. Competencies don't go right or wrong. It's a binary thing. You either have it or you don't have it. You may fall in and out of relationship, but you don't fall in and out of AI skills. You stay in AI skills.
True. So, what is the future of the animation industry for a career?
Animation industry as a career, I think would have a tremendous amount of scope. In fact, I don't know if the Disney and the more than $200 billion worth of commitment has gone in from the top 4 studios of the world into creating content, digital content for all the digital platforms to rival the Netflix and the Amazons of the world. All the bigger studios are now going to get into a very, very heavy investment to create digital content at an extremely rapid pace. And I think that's going to give rise to a lot of scope for animation as an industry as well. Yeah.
So speaking, the students are following very closely to what you've been saying. So they've been asking, how did Macadamia come into existence? Did you pivot from another idea?
No. So Macadamia was, it's a fun story in the sense that I just wanted to be a teacher. I was very passionate about teaching. And initially when I used to work for a startup firm, educational startup called as compassbox.com, and we came to Middle East to sell compassbox.com, and compassbox.com was bought over by another company, and when they bought it over, I became jobless in the sense that the founder gave me my share of my profit, and he said, now you're free to do whatever you want to do. And I was in Middle East at that time, and every school that we would go to, they'll always ask, oh, you're selling CDs, why don't you do some preparation for some of the exam, because there is nobody doing it here. I said, okay. I was passionate about teaching math, and they said, okay, I'll grab 2 other gentlemen who can do science, and then we just started teaching for fun. And what it snowballed into is something that I don't think even I would have imagined.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Subramanyan. That was really elaborate and very nice of you to have given such insights to our students. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Thanks.
We move on to our next speaker for the day. I am very proud to introduce her because a fact that she's a lady. So Dr. Jyoti Iyer, she, the lady race, which has a lot of acclaimants to their feather. One more. Dr. Jyoti, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Speaking about Dr. Jyoti, she is the Vice President and Head of Development, Biofusion, which is a Biocon subsidiary. She has a PhD in fermentation technology from UDCT Mumbai University. A keen scientist, mentor, and empathetic leader by experience, and his passion to lead and participate in social upliftment through science. She has several accomplishments and achievements in her professional career. Few examples have been project lead for the world's first biosimilar trastuzumab. I'm sorry, maybe I pronounced it incorrectly. Project lead for biosimilar Avastin from Biocon, etc. She has numerous publications and patents and has led several teams in different capacities through her career. She started as a part of pharma industry formulation development, moving on to a key opinion leader of Biocon's technical team, developing biosimilar maps. She has mentored and developed many students and has supported Surabhi Advya, an underprivileged boys' home, supporting the growth and education of 25 underprivileged boys since 2013. She is no doubt a true example of women leadership in the field of pharma. A very big applause to you, Jyotiji. That's really commendable. Welcome. We're really honored to have you today this evening.
Thank you, Radhika. Thank you very much. So before I start my slide deck, just one small correction. I don't really have a lot of patents to my name. I'm actually in the industry. You don't necessarily get to publish quite a lot. So that I should have corrected that information. I'm going to start with my slide deck now. So while I agree that I am a woman, but I don't think I really differentiated myself as a woman at any point of time. It was mostly the science, and I think the passion to work on my capabilities that has brought me here. And I've been very fortunate to work in an organization which is led by Kiran Mazumdar, a very strong and passionate leader herself. So I must say that a lot of what I am today is because of the culture in the organization that I work with also. So it's going to be very difficult for me to put into words what a woman should do differently. I'm just going to talk about science and leadership. So as you already, I hope you can see my slides. Okay. So as you already mentioned, I'm a biotechnologist by training. And I describe myself as a very keen scientist. I also love to mentor, and I'm also an empathetic leader. And that is by experience, because I have been fortunate to get a lot of empathy when I was growing up. And I also have a passion to lead and participate. So all these qualities. So leadership is not actually about a position, but it's actually an action. It is about vision and responsibility. It is based on inspiration and cooperation. It is not by domination or intimidation. And what differentiates a true leader is the person's courage to make tough decisions when you are put in tough spots. How do you make tough decisions? How do you look at the risk versus benefit, and then come up with decisions which you think are going to be having some certain amount of risk, but you still move forward because somebody has to take that decision and move forward, right? So that is what differentiates a leader. And most importantly, the compassion and empathy to listen to your team members, to work with them and ensure that you're taking them along and you are a part of the team. So a little about my career. I joined in 2005 as a scientist. And it's been a journey over 16 years. I was confirmed as a scientific manager, and then over the years, I was promoted in various designations, and now I am the vice president. So it has been a long tenure. It has been a 16-year tenure. But I would say the most important learning experience for me was when I was given the responsibility of leading the first biosimilar molecule from Biocon, the biosimilar trastuzumab, for the FDA, US FDA, as well as the EMA. And I was leading the CMC, which is basically the product development team. And so there is a clinical team and the product development team. So my role was to put together all the product related information, manufacturing and the scientific part of the information for this particular project. And that was the key, I would say, milestone in my career. And what I have learned over the years is I have a good in-depth knowledge about biosimilar drug development, the scientific part of it. I have learned and acknowledged what leadership is about and team building skills. And I have also gained experience that have actually humbled, and I can say that I'm a technical leader with a humanitarian perspective. So this is a little about my journey in pictures. So this is when Abdul Kalam had come to Biocon in 2006. And this is, I mean, I'm short, like I'm actually not even 5. So you can't see me here, but this is in the FDA, the US FDA in July 2017. So 10 years, a journey of 10, very interesting and challenging 10 years of my career. The most of my journey is about the science, so I'm going to actually just focus about the science, what I learned, and how we did develop this molecule. So I'm not going to go into a lot of details, technical details, but just to give you a glimpse about how do you develop a biologic molecule, what is a biosimilar, because that's what I know, and give you some understanding about how does a drug development, especially a biologic molecule work. So let me start with what are biologics. So we all know, I mean, paracetamol and aspirin, these words we hear very commonly, but the therapeutic world has actually moved on. So we all know insulin very well, right? I mean, we know that insulin is for diabetes, but actually most of the treatment now is with the newer generation of therapeutic molecules are actually what we call as biologics. So this has actually revolutionized the treatment of many chronic diseases. They are mainly used for chronic diseases like diabetes, hepatitis, hemophilia, many types of cancers, autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis and psoriatic arthritis and so on, because these have much lesser side effects as compared to the chemically produced molecules. They also have a lot of commercial interest, and that is the other reason why there is a lot of interest and scope on the biologics. I'm not going to go all into these details, but yes, there's a lot of numbers that make this a very viable option, both biologics as well as biosimilars. So as I mentioned, biologics are actually, they're not chemically synthesized, they're manufactured in living cells. That could be mammalian, bacterial, viral, yeast. Mostly mammalian, bacterial, and yeast. I included viral because even the vaccines would fall under the biologic, right? So insulin, for example, or monoclonal antibody are biologics, whereas the aspirin is a small molecule. It is not a biologic. So these are the main differentiation between the small molecules and biologics. That is, the small molecules or the pharmaceuticals are chemically synthesized, and the biologics are in the living cells. They are complex molecules. I mean, it doesn't look so here, but I will explain this the further slides. They are actually very challenging to manufacture and to characterize, mainly because they are manufactured within a living cell. So this, for example, is the picture of a monoclonal antibody. It is one of the most commonly used therapeutic drug. I mean, this is something that are living. I mean, we produce all the time, but now scientists are engineering these. We engineer this to target a particular antigen. That's why it's called a antibody. So it's a monoclonal antibody, and what we did was produce a copy of the reference product which is already available in the US and the EU. So it's called as a biosimilar. That is just similar to the reference product. It's essentially the same molecule as what is already available in the market. So these molecules like trastuzumab, the product that I spoke about, is already available in the US and the EU, but they are very expensive and not really affordable for the developing countries. So hence, once the patent expires, these molecules have around 20 years of patent life. As soon as the patent expires, then you can have a biosimilar molecule which will have the same action as the reference product, and you can sell them for the same indications. So these molecules, as I said, they are quite complex, and you have to manage the environment in which they grow. You grow them in bioreactors, and you have to ensure that what comes out of it is similar to the preference product. Just to give you an example, it's like a cycle versus an aeroplane, literally, because an aspirin, if you look at an aspirin, it has 21 atoms, and this is the IgG antibody. It is like 25,000 atoms here, and this seems to be the right comparison because there are so many things that you have to work with when you're working on a biologic molecule. Why is it so complex? It has around, a monocular antibody has around 1,300 amino acids, and each of these amino acids can get modified. I mean, it can modify itself and create either fragmentation or disulfide. I won't go into these technical details, but what happens is these modifications can be considered as impurities. So they are not acceptable. Not all of them are acceptable. So you literally have to ensure that you do not have many of these modifications in the product of that you are manufacturing. Just to give you a preview of how I don't know about the time, so somebody has to keep me informed about the time because I don't have my time here. I do have 15 minutes. So just to give you a preview of how these molecules are manufactured, you start with the gene synthesis, put it into a plasmid, clone it into a mammalian host, and then you take it through multiple steps. That is, you culture them in bioreactors, and then you purify them, finally formulate them, and then you put them into the vials. What you see in the market is only these vials, but it goes through a very long process of starting from gene synthesis to until the vial. So each of these steps, that is how you clone into a mammalian host, to creating a cell bank and producing them in high quantities, purifying the product of interest, and then putting them in formulations which keep them stable for a long time. All of these are done by scientists. First, we do them in the lab, and then we scale them into the manufacturing scale. After you make these molecules, then you are supposed to look at the structure of the molecule. So you literally use different tools. These are techniques that you use to look at the primary structure, the secondary structure, tertiary structure, and so on. So what you can see here is actually pictures of how these molecules look like. These are the different amino acids and then peptides on what we call as chromatograms. This is like a folded molecule. The way it melts or it unfolds. This is a charge-based separation and so on. So what we do is we actually use different tools to look into whether the molecule has been manufactured correctly or not once it comes out of the cell. A little bit more about how we do each of these steps. This is like a cell line development. How do we do a cell line development? We take a vector, put them into this mammalian host cells, make sure that they are stabilized. I mean, each of these transfection has to get stabilized. It goes through multiple steps. It goes through 96 well plates, 6 well plates, tubes, and then you take one cell from all of these, put it on a plate here, and ensure that it is just a single cell. That's why it's called as a monoclonal, because it has to start from, as you can see here, this is an image, just thought it will be interesting, that's why sharing this. So this is one cell dividing into 2 and then 4, and then you have 16 and so on, right? And then it starts multiplying. But this is a complex and intricate process, and this is required to ensure that you're not contaminating the product from multiple cells, and what you're producing is very pure. So then finally you know that now it is coming from a single cell, and then again you go back and expand them and make sure that you have the medium in which we grow. Now, some fun facts about cells. So these cells are actually very, very choosy, and they not only that, they actually grow very, very slow. I mean, they're literally like babies or human babies. Like, they would not grow very similarly in all the mediums. So you have to feed them the correct, like you can assume like some people like Horlicks and some people like Bonvita or Complan and so on. So this figure here is actually showing how well these cells are growing. They are the same cells, but you can see in media 1, 2, and 3, this one, it's growing much, much higher here as compared to this or this, right? So it's very happy. It seems to be that the cells are liking this particular combination that has been given to them. So, and you also need to ensure but that they stay healthy for a longer time, which you check by looking at the viability. This is a very brief glimpse of some of the science that we do. And also to reach a production stage, it has to go from a vial. I mean, these cells are frozen into vials, and then you put them into flasks and so on until it reaches the production bioreactor. Again, a very brief glimpse of what we do. I'm not going to go through everything, but similarly, what I took you was through the cell culture, or the first process where the cells grow, starting from vial until the production bioreactor. Similarly, you have for the purification, you separate these cells, you capture them through multiple steps of chromatography and different steps of purification until you have the final product, which is like almost 100% pure. Then you put them into a combination, like a mixture of excipients and at the right pH and so on, so that it stays stable. All of these products are injections. They are sterile injections, so they require a different kind of handling. And then you have incorporating quality testing at every step of this. So it's a very complex and intricate process involving a lot of science, challenging and very interesting if you have the patience and passion. It's cool because we actually get to wear suits like space suits, but it's only cool to look at, not so much fun once you wear them and you're inside. We need to have this clean environments to ensure that we do not have cause any contamination to the cells, because these are mammalian cells, so they need to be specially cultured and kept in a environment which is free of any microorganisms or bacteria. And just to tell you, there's a lot of engineering involved. Again, this picture shows there are large tanks, and a lot of engineering and design is a part of the manufacturing. So biotechnology and engineering actually work very closely together in the manufacturing of a biologic. One slide about what took us to get this trastuzumab approved, the molecule which I said trastuzumab. Sorry, a little more about trastuzumab. Trastuzumab is used for breast cancer. It is a biologic molecule which is currently being used for both breast cancer as well as for gastric cancer, for treatment of both breast and gastric cancer. So we started in 2008, where we cloned we generated the clone, and then we had the product ready by 2011. But as I mentioned, the process and the formulation development, everything by 2011. We did a study in India, phase 3 study, and then we also took it global so that we could get the global approval. We did a study across multiple countries. Many countries were involved in this study. And finally, in 2016, we submitted the package. This was where I could demonstrate my leadership skills, taking this molecule to the FDA. And because it was the first molecule, we also got an opportunity to present it to the FDA. Only the first molecule gets an opportunity to present it to a committee of the FDA and independent panelists. So it's called as Ogivri, and it is approved in 2017. Since I'm talking about women in leadership, this is what I believe differentiate leader from, if you incorporate these skills right in the beginning, you automatically grow into a leader. There's nothing else you need to do. Make sure that you have integrity and honesty. Most importantly, collaborate and work in a team. No single person can ever reach to the top by themselves. Have to have a lot of passion and patience, though it's not there, passion and patience. Learning ability, courage, respect, empathy, and most importantly, self-discipline. So according to me, talent without self-discipline is opportunity wasted. If you have all the talent, but if you do not have self-discipline, then it is not much. It's going to take you not a lot of distance. So with that, this is where we work. We are all very fortunate. The people who work at Biocon have been very fortunate because we have the opportunity to use a lot of the latest tools and techniques to actually enjoy and have fun while working on science. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jyoti. I was also just going to mention that today's session, we have seen a lot of empathy also to be related while checking out for our career. So I'm sure our students would have benefited in both the ways, thinking logically and having empathy also towards their career. A few questions for you, Dr. Jyoti. The first one is, can medicines help in correction of genetic problems? If yes, how do they possibly work? And if no, is it practically possible?
I'm not very well aware of that topic, but yes, I am aware that now there's a lot of advancement in the. I'm actually not the right person to answer that question. I don't have a lot of in-depth knowledge. Yes.
But then something that you can totally answer, we are coming to that. As a women leader, have you had setbacks just because of your gender? If yes, how did you overcome it?
No. I didn't have any setback because I'm a woman. Not even a single instance that I can remember. I think it's also a lot about the mindset because I never put myself out there as a woman. I said, whenever there was an opportunity, I was always there to grab it, I guess.
Thank you. What are the qualities as a R&D laboratory scientist should possess to take it as a profession?
Qualities as a scientist, first one is passion. You need to love, have a liking for the subject. That's the first thing. And then it requires a lot of patience. It's something that takes a long period for you to start seeing results. So you need to grow with the science. I mean, learning happens all the time. So patience is something that I would say is what you need. And ability to keep learning. Ability to keep learning and acquiring new information.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Can biosimilars have side effects?
So no. If you have an approved biosimilar, they are tested in the clinic alongside the reference product. So when you do a clinical trial, there are two arms to it. One is the reference product, and the other one is the biosimilar. So you look at everything. You look at even the side effects. I mean, the clinicians take a very close look at all the side effects that are possible. And even if there is a small side effect that looks different from the reference product, that is not considered for approval. So the answer is no. I mean, if you have an approved biosimilar, the side effects are going to be very similar as the reference product.
Okay. What is your advice to keep oneself motivating as life has its own ups and downs? I'm sure you have faced a lot of challenges, so you can be the right person to guide us on this.
Sorry, can you please repeat that question? I just want to make sure that I'm answering it correctly.
What is your advice to keep oneself motivating as life has its own ups and downs?
I think, so what has kept me motivated is, I think my passion for science. So I would believe that anything that you're passionate about, if you get into the field that you're passionate about, then the motivation comes automatically. Yes, there are ups and downs, but then you have to keep looking at the bigger picture. Like, for example, trastuzumab approval was a very, very intense journey. I mean, we didn't know whether we were really going to get approval or not. So the process itself was not as golden as it looks like now, right? I mean, it was a very tough journey. So if you keep the goal in mind, the goal which was to ensure that we're getting a product which is going to be much, much more cost effective than the already existing molecule. I mean, that was the whole reason for which we were putting in a lot of hard work and effort. So nothing else mattered. Just the goal that we have to get the product into the market, make sure that we're getting an approval so that the patients are having access to a lower cost molecule. So that was the drive. So the motivation was, I would say, the goal.
Okay. Thank you, Jyoti-ji. That was a really wonderful insight. And for our students today, I would really say that how Manipal professors, Ms. Sangeeta, Mr. Abdul and Dr. Sangeeta have said that looking at job descriptions, and like Mr. Subramanyan says, that embrace failure and the word micro-entrepreneurs, and how Jyoti-ji says about passion. So to sum it all, there is a lot of career opportunities lying ahead of you. Think wisely, take the right decisions. Thank you, Dr. Jyoti, Dr. Sangeeta, Mr. Abdul, and Mr. Subramanyan. We really thank you very much for having taken out time to enlighten our students and sharing such valuable information. Thank you for being with us this evening. And students, thanks for attending the 4th session. I'm sure you're going to look forward to the next session. Before that, we have our quiz coming up. Vedji. I think Vedji, we need to unmute you.
Yeah, I got it now.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rajita ji. Good evening, students. Good evening, speakers and all SAF member. Students, as you know, good education is foundation for a better futures, and leadership is not a position or title. It is by the actions and example. Today, you would have got a best opportunity to hear from the leaders who have raised through their action and set an example for themselves. So with that inspiration, we are moving to the session of quiz. First, I would like to show the winners of the last week's quiz. Just wait a minute, so I'm sharing the screen. So in our last week quiz, we have asked a question on profession in the hospitality industry that take care of guests. The right answer was concierge, and a lot of people have answered too. Congratulations for all the people who have answered it correctly. As you know that we are only giving one exciting prize for the winner, though there are multiple correct answers, and the winners are chosen on who answered the question fastly. So with that, I have a lot of winners. You can see a lot of people have answered correctly also. Don't get breakthrough that you didn't receive a prize. You are all winners for us. But unfortunately, due to the restrictions, we are limiting to one prize only. So the winner is going to be Rida Harris. Unlike the past 2 sessions, the winner is from grade 10. Whereas for the past two sessions, it was from grade 11. Congratulations, Rida. Rida is from Global Indian School, Ajman. She is in grade 10. Rida, if you can just switch on your camera and say hi to us, it will be an inspiration for other students also to participate. Hi, Rida, yes. Congratulations.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Well done, Rida. Yeah.
Vedji, you're on mute. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Children, please log into your menti.com and I'm going to share the screen for the code. So I hope you can see my screen now. So log on to your mentee.com and use the code 99388785. As usual, please log in using your name, space, your phone number for us to identify easily. So today we have an interesting question for you to answer. I will give you another 45 seconds for all of us to log in so that we have a good number of participants. Come on, students, please log in. Log into mentee.com and use the code 99388785. So we have reached almost 100. So I'm going to shoot out the questions now. Look at your screen. The question is going to display in the screen. An artist who draws portrait that has some likeliness to the person, but purposely disproportionate to. So think as an artist form or a art form who draws portrait, but some likeliness to the person, but purposefully disproportionate to. You have 30 more seconds to answer. I can give you a clue. Henri Vermeer, he is known as the father of this modern art. It's also a type of cartoon. I can't give more clues like this. Also a type of cartoon where you can see in everyday newspaper. Have given a very easy clue also. Think of that artist type, the art form. Time's up, children. Let's see. Okay, we have got some correct answers. Yes, the correct answer is caricature. So we will see who are the winners in next week session. So the next week session, Sudhaji, I think the next week is scheduled for 28th, right?
Yeah, 28th. Can you display the flyer?
Yeah.
Children, I know that is going to be a week's vacation and you're all excited to enjoy, have fun. Yes, please do that. And return back to our session. We are heading towards the 5th session, okay? And why I'm here to tell you that it is an interesting session here because, we wanted to take, something light from the heavy science part, engineering part that we have spoken all about. There are a lot of questions like, humanities streams, commerce students, they want to understand better about their career path also. So to make it very lighter, we have two offbeat career, I can say, but quite popular. One is the film industry. We have Mr. Anand Bose. He's a popular DOP who's a cinematographer in the Bollywood. Radhe, Race 3, Student of the Year, okay, Kick, Salman Khan's movie. So he has directed so many movies in Bollywood as well as in Telugu movies, but he has an important story, like like you people having a desire to do something, and how did you convince your parents? So while I was speaking to him, he was also telling that, well, there were options for medicine. He was also like, wanting to do something on dentistry, but he was not ready to, compromise on his passion, which was cinematography. And with great wit, he took it up. When others were earning, he just had to even buy a mobile. It was so big for him in the age of 25 to 30. And today he's a multimillionaire and a successful career person. So listening to his story and interesting aspects, always cinema is interesting to us, right? It is our best entertainment. So we look forward for that. And the other part, we all like photography or painting or some form of art. And also, and now the trend is more towards conserving your environment. What about, taking a profession where you are taking care of the wildlife? Okay, and you have empathy towards nature. This is a career that works with empathy. An empathetic person can choose this, and he is very successful. So we will also listen from Dr. Anish, who is the president and CEO of Wildlife Conservation Trust. As spoken by eminent speakers today, in the future there will be many entrepreneurs who successfully pivot their career towards the problems that are existing currently in nature. So again, not only that, we have a budding university, UK College of Business and Computing, and there are a lot of people who have doubts towards commerce streams. Please attend this session. Not only that, they also have courses on engineering. So I would say it is a hybrid representation of a university. And she is also an adolescent counselor as well as a student recruitment manager. So you can hear more interesting topics from her also, advices from her. So please join back with the same momentum as you are currently. And this program is intended only for you, and you are all the heroes and heroines of the show. So please make it up, and let us all see on 28th July, and happy vacation. Over to you, Radhika ji.
Yes, Sudhaji, I'm sure our students are going to look forward for this one, because you've given a lot of information that they should be thinking about it. Once again, I thank Dr. Jyoti, Mr. Subramanyan, Dr. Sangeeta, and Mr. Abdul for having joined us this evening. Thank you, students. Stay safe and see you back soon.